if you were to maybe to sort of summarize what Chili's does, and you had to explain it to like your mom or your grandma, like how would you describe it?
Wow, I don't know about my grandma, but my but my mom. Well, I would first of all say that Chili's is to be considered more as like a technology company and a fintech provider. So I like to say we're the industry leading blockchain and fintech provider for the sports and entertainment industry. What does that mean? Well, it means that we've partnered with over 150 sporting organizations. So if you're familiar with different sports teams, we have Juventus, Paris Saint Germain, Barcelona, for example, some of the biggest names in football. I will say football, not soccer, in case there's any Americans listening. I apologize, but yeah, kind of partnering with different sports organizations to help them utilize blockchain because of obviously sports teams aren't necessarily the most technologically savvy, and they don't necessarily have the kind of funds to build teams to investigate the potential of these new digital emerging technologies, unlike some clubs like Paris Saint Germain, which is obviously hailed as the leading digital innovator in the sports industry, right? But yeah, so we partner with sports teams. We created these branded fan tokens. Fan tokens are unique digital assets. They're not NFTs, but they are digital assets that allow fans to kind of gain access to some kind of gated community. This gated community comes in the form of socios.com, which you mentioned earlier in the podcast. That's a fan engagement, fan loyalty and rewards platform. So basically, fans can log into socios.com. They can purchase a fan token. They can begin engaging with their team. What does it mean to engage with their team? Well, we host a variety of different kind of activities within the app, whether that's asking fans different questions from the club, so fans can vote in some club decisions. So earlier in the kind of inception with Juventus, the fans actually got to choose the goal celebration sound change, which was pretty cool because it's actually a blockchain vote that made a real world change, and obviously it helps with the sports fans actually be able to share their opinion with their team in a direct kind of manner, and it's all verifiable on the blockchain. And now we have Chiliz Chain, which is our blockchain in which fan tokens kind of were minted and exist for the first time. We have Socios.com, the first consumer-facing app for fan engagement. We have Chiliz X, which is our digital asset exchange for fan tokens. We have Chiliz Chain 2.0, which I guess we'll talk about a bit later for the roadmap. And then we have now new game use, which is authenticating digital and physical memorabilia.
So, in a lot of ways, Chili's is really pioneering an entire new way for fans to interact with their favorite sports teams and leagues and have their voices heard, and using a technology that is empowering them to have those things proved and publicly, sort of inscribed into a blockchain while simultaneously allowing them to do things like pick the songs that the teams are going to celebrate their goals to and more. So this is pretty cool. I think people have been talking about how crypto is going to change the way we interface with our favorite musicians, our favorite artists. And you guys are really in the world of sports and entertainment. So I'm excited to hear about these things, and also really keen to sort of start to explore what you think the fan experience could look like over the coming years, as more and more people sort of take to using the technology to express their interests and sort of have their voices heard by the clubs themselves. So, for the sports engagement platform, socios.com is the place you want to head, especially if you're a fan of some of those super popular football clubs in Europe. So, let's talk a little bit about the size of the team at Chili's. You guys said you'd raised a lot of money. You've got one of the most valuable cryptocurrency blockchain by market cap in the world today. How many people are sort of working on this and sort of thinking about how it develops over the coming years?
Sure, yeah. Now we're actually over 300 people worldwide. When I started in 2018, I was the 17th, and now we went from a startup to a scale up, and now we're still growing in terms of headcount, which is obviously super exciting. You go to the office and you see people you've never seen before, and you don't even know who they are or what they do. That can be a very kind of fun experience, right? We actually have offices worldwide, so our headquarters is in Malta. We have an office in London, Madrid, Turkey, USA, France, and Switzerland, and maybe there's other few smaller offices kind of dotted around the world to kind of manage partnerships with different sports teams in different regions as well.
Cool. Let's talk a little bit about how those partnerships get formed. So, the business model for Chili's is partially driven by working with some of the world's biggest sports franchises. So, whether that's a football club in Europe or a sports franchise in the United States, talk to us a little bit about how you engage with a potential club. Talk to them about the benefits that those clubs can have by using the emergent technologies that are available to fans in the Chili's and the Socios platform. Walk us through sort of how you guys have those conversations, get them excited about using these new tools and some of the benefits that the fans can have longer term.
Sure, sure. Well, obviously, when blockchain technology was emerging, a lot of the sports teams were very kind of unsure in the beginning. So what we had to do was do a lot of educating. So we started, obviously, like I said it earlier, just now, with Juventus and Paris Saint-Germain were kind of our headliners, our first big partners. We onboarded them in the summer, I think, of 2019, I believe, or no, summer 2000. Yeah, it's either 2018 or 19. My memory is a bit hazy back then. It's been a long time, and it's crypto, so that feels like more like 10 years. But yeah, like I said, it's a lot of education that has to go on in the beginning. And then kind of once we initially signed a few of those partnerships, it became a lot easier because we had a proven track record of working with different clubs. We had a proven track record of initiatives. So, for example, I mentioned that Juventus fans got to pick the goal song. So when we could take that and go to other clubs, it becomes much easier to kind of negotiate and show people the potential of different kind of concepts of how you can engage your communities using blockchain technology. Yeah, and then obviously from there, if we want to talk about the business model a little bit, we bring them on board. We host something called a fan token offering on the platform, where the fan tokens are all sold at a fixed price. So it's not kind of like the traditional token sale where you'll have these private investors, and then you have they get a really good price, and then you've got seed investors who get an even better price, and then it's they have multi-tiered kind of asset prices. Whereas for us, we sell we sell the allocation of the fan token offering all at the same fixed price, and then from there it will go on to be a direct listing, and then obviously we have a revenue share agreements in place with those clubs, so they benefit from the success of those fan token offerings, and then also they benefit from things like trading fees and kind of user participation in that sense.
Cool. So for anyone that's never used some of these things, it could almost sort of be a little bit like a loyalty program or like the type of
Yes.
program airlines have with Sky Miles. But really, they do a lot more than just give you a discount on what you're purchasing. The whole fan engagement can be quite comprehensive. Everything from how it changes the in-game sort of experience to voting on different initiatives to having potentially rewards like custom merchandise and also fan experiences for those that are kind of early to participating in these types of communities. Super cool and really interesting for brands to think about how they can use these emergent fan tokens, NFTs, and more to really engage an audience, especially in a more digital and trackable way. So famously, you guys had a partnership during the World Cup here, one of the best finals in the history of World Cup, I think, is undebatable. Talk to us a little bit about how that was developed and sort of the outcome of that and the impact on the Chili's community
Mhm.
long term.
That's a funny one. I hear that one actually a lot. I would just like to clear the air and say we actually weren't a sponsor of the event itself. It's just that crypto is heavily driven by different narratives, and people see Chili's as the sports coin or the sports token. You just look at Twitter sometimes when there's big matches on, and you see them talking about Chili's. So it was kind of a narrative that we didn't kind of entertain ourselves. We didn't really promote much around the World Cup. We didn't really engage there at all. It was more of I guess, a self-fulfilling crypto prophecy, and that kind of, yeah, like you said, it drove a lot of awareness towards us and our fan tokens, and obviously the communities were very excited. Obviously, at the same time, some of the community weren't excited because they actually wanted us to do something with the World Cup. But maybe in the next World Cup coming around, we'll have to see. Now we're going to
Got it.
be bigger
All
and
right.
better.
Well, maybe a little brand confusion isn't the worst thing when people think you're sponsoring things and you don't have to pony up
Exactly.
the cost of doing so. Cool. All right. So let's talk a little bit about adoption. I think it's one of the most important topics, especially when we move way outside of the realm of speculation. and really look at how many people are buying these tokens and span these sports engagement tokens on socios.com. Talk to us a little bit about how many people are using Chiliz, how many people are buying some of these allocations when you guys partner with new clubs.
Sure, sure. So earlier I said, we're close to 500,000 Twitter followers, for example, just to give you an example of the size of our ecosystem. We have like millions. There's millions of Chiliz holders if we talk about including different crypto exchanges overall. But to us, that's not interesting. We're not really looking at the holders. We're looking at people who are actually interested in utilizing their tokens for their utility, because that's the real value proposition here of Chiliz. We have, for example, our own blockchain, Chiliz chain, and our total wallet numbers on there is 1.8 million. So that means 1.8 million wallets in which fan tokens sit. Just to clarify, the Chiliz token, it doesn't exist on Chiliz chain. It exists on the Ethereum main network. It's only currently fan tokens that exist on the current version of Chiliz chain. So 1.8 million people are holding fan tokens. Socios.com application has, over 1 million users. I don't know the latest numbers. I probably should have checked before I jumped on here, but all I know is it's over 1 million. I think that's a good enough number for me. And then recently we just launched our test net for our new blockchain, which is just called Chiliz Chain version 2.0. And we've amassed 391,000 wallets on the Scoville testnet. It's called Scoville, I should have mentioned that. And over 10 million transactions. And then we're soon to release a new testnet soon, following some security audits as well. So yeah, I mean, the ecosystem has been kind of growing at a pretty good rate over the past few years. We've seen adoption. For example, I own a platform called fanmarketcap.com, which is a data platform for kind of tracking different fan tokens and different analytics and performance and price statistics about them. We have over 25,000 unique visitors a month, and that's just for people who are actually looking at data for fan tokens themselves. So I find that statistic also pretty interesting to share as well.
Wow. Okay. So from, basically setting up socios.com to launching the blockchain to signing partnerships with some of the world's biggest clubs like Juventus, PSG, and many more. And now the rolling out of the next blockchain, Chiliz 2.0. Talk to us a little bit about what's in store for the future over the next 6 to 12 months. You mentioned that people should pay attention to the upcoming anniversary of the Chiliz platform. Can you give us the date at minimum so we can know when to especially be paying attention, and then give us sort of a little bit of a view into the future around what's important for the community to be looking at, and also how you guys are looking at continuing to make sure that you're doing the best job on delivering for the partnerships and also the fan experience.
Sure, sure. So yeah, you're right. There is something soon coming unannounced. The actual birthday of Chiliz, I believe it's the 7th of February. But yeah, I am not going to be able to kind of share much about that right now. But definitely, I can go over kind of a rough overview of the roadmap. There are a lot of things which don't have set dates because it's crypto, so things happen very quickly and suddenly. But yeah, what you can expect over the next 6 to 12 months is we'll be launching Chiliz Chain 2.0. The point of Chiliz Chain 2.0 is to be more of an open ecosystem. So obviously, I've mentioned Chiliz Chain version 1 multiple times. It's a closed ecosystem, only connected to crypto exchanges. There's no way currently for developers and third parties to come on and kind of build decentralized applications or other blockchain related applications. So this is kind of a new beginning for us to kind of actually build a proper sports and entertainment based ecosystem. And we're having lots of interesting discussions with new potential partners, which we'll be investing in, whether that's equity or tokens, based on our new accelerator and incubator that's soon to be announced. So that's very exciting, and our community's been waiting very patiently for that. But we're the kind of company that doesn't like to do things fast. We like to do things right. So we're never in a rush to kind of go to market. We'd rather kind of wait for the right moment and make sure we've got all the right pieces in place for that. Onboarding projects, onboarding infrastructure, partners to our ecosystem. It's obviously going to be a core focus as usual. Like I said earlier, we have a digital asset exchange called Chiliz X. You're going to see a lot of UI and UX, so user experience upgrades, new features and functionalities that you'd usually expect on a typical kind of crypto to crypto exchange, and also more freedom for fan tokens as well. So Chiliz Chain 2 enables more freedom for fan tokens through third-party integrations. So imagine you're a fan of PSG. Currently, you may download the PSG application, but you don't have any way of telling PSG you're a fan token holder on their application. Well, these fan apps, whatever you want to call them, they'll be able to either integrate with Chiliz Chain 2.0, or they'll be able to integrate with some kind of SDK or API that we're going to be providing, which will allow these kind of fan ecosystems to kind of come together. It's going to chain them together into blocks, maybe. Sorry for that. That was terrible. Anyway, yeah. So yeah, giving more freedom for the actual brands that we work with to kind of own their fan token a little bit more, as we find that's going to be very important going forward. And then obviously, if you've been following Chiliz, you would have seen last night we actually had a really big match, which was AC Milan versus Inter Milan, where we debuted our game use digital, physical, collectible authentication. Basically, what happened was when the team scored a match during the game, the referee threw the ball off the pitch. It was picked up by an official and placed in a Perspex container to be kind of preserved as the official ball that was actually scored. That ball is going to have an NFC, a near field communication chip in, which allows the user to be able to see that it was minted as a digital collectible on the Chiliz chain, and also some kind of QR code system that allows the user to then relive the moment of the goal actually being scored. So you can have it in your wallet, you could have it in your house. Imagine your friends coming over, they're like, what's that? Well, there's a QR code. They scan that, they're going to see the ball actually get scored in a video there. So it's kind of connecting the digital world to the physical world. I'm not going to use the word phygital, hate that one, please don't use it, let's stop that. But yeah, digital and physical collectible authentication, as we believe that NFTs are interesting, but right now in crypto, it's a lot of fluff and unsustainable hype, but collectibles are something that makes sense, and people have been collecting stuff, for thousands of years, whether it was a rock in your cave, but now today it's a digital avatar or kind of a digital collectible in your digital wallet. So yeah, and then obviously, I don't know if this is a roadmap item, but becoming the leading blockchain for sports and entertainment. We have a real track record of delivering in this space, and we're really kind of, with the initiatives that we're bringing to the table this year, we're really going to kind of open ourselves up to become even more of a leader and kind of show the Web3 community and the blockchain community what we're made of a little bit more.
Amazing. So, Joe, thank you so much for that comprehensive conclusion here. So, just to summarize, if you're a fan of any of the world's most popular sports franchises, you should head over to socios.com, pick up some fan tokens. In the future, with the Chiliz 2.0 blockchain rolling out, more freedom for fan token owners, and a lot more coming down the pipeline. If you have a big brand, if you work in the sports and entertainment world, you should visit the Chiliz website, get in touch with Joe or the team. There's a whole new world of fan engagement opportunities. I love the description of a game-winning goal being stored as both a physical collectible, but also minted with a digital fingerprint that proves that something happened, and then sharing that experience in eternity with friends and family. And I think those are just the first beginnings of the types of fan experiences we can imagine, where we combine all the magic and the beauty and the resiliency of cryptocurrencies and fan experiences in sports. And I see a natural marriage there over the duration. And so really excited to see how those things take off in the long term. And for anyone that's heard anything they found interesting today, in your blockchain.com wallet, you can buy, sell, swap, trade, and hold Chiliz as one of our preferred assets and partners. So for the millions of people that use the blockchain.com wallet, check it out. And we appreciate everyone's time today. Joe, for anyone that's listening, where should they go to follow the latest updates for Chiliz? Give us your Twitter account, or anybody else or anywhere else we should be paying attention to keep up with what's going on at Chiliz.
Sure. Well, you can follow Chiliz, obviously, on Twitter, which is just at Chiliz. You can follow our CEO, Alex_Dreyfus. And you can obviously follow me, Joe B. Grech, that's Grech. And also check out fanmarketcap.com, which is my personal project, which will give you a variety of different information about those fan tokens that we've talked about today. And yeah, thank you very much for having me on the show. Everyone should support blockchain.com. You guys are great. And yeah, really appreciate your time.
Thank you very much, Joe. Have a good day.